Everything is Awesome is part of Courts and Parts, a podcast network featuring pop culture, TV, movie, and geek podcasts. Check out some of our other shows, like TV Ate My Brain, Let's Chat with Revelin Friends, and Podstalgic at courtsandparts.com.
Awesome. Just tell people they're awesome and mean it.
Awesome.
Did you have an awesome time? Did you drink awesome shooters and listen to awesome music and then just sit around and soak up each other's awesomeness?
Awesome. That was awesome.
You guys are awesome.
No, you're awesome.
No, you are awesome.
Sir, you are awesome. Seriously.
Awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Welcome to this week's edition of Everything is Awesome. I am your host, Kev, and thank you for your patience on this roundtable discussion about Justice League. The editing on this took quite some time. Every 10 to 20 minutes, I had to spend about an hour of editing on. Audio drift was a major concern in this episode, probably because I had up to 4 additional people on the call. And we all had different kind of internet connections, and I'm looking to improve the roundtable experience in the future for a faster turnaround time. In the meantime, big thank you to Casey, to BJ, to Ryan, and of course to Craig for partaking. I want to get a couple housekeeping things out of the way that I don't think I really got out of the way in the show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at RealAwesomePod. You can follow me on Twitter at ThatNerdyKev. You can also find us on Facebook.com/RealAwesomePod. That's where you can find out all about the different live shows that we put on. Like on December 17th, we're going to be joined by the Heart Points podcast from 3:30 to 4:30, and then from 4:30 to 6 will be Everything is Awesome, celebrating their 100th episode. I'm bringing Jeff Stormer from Party One podcast along with me so that we can play some games. Super excited for that one, so make sure you check that out. We're going to be going live at Amalgam Comics and Coffee House in Philadelphia on Frankfurt Ave. All the details can be found on Facebook.com/RealAwesomePod. And if you need other ways to support this show, you can always leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Word of mouth recommendations always help. Or if you have some extra cash, you can always go to patreon.com/thatentertains and support us there. Well, here's the roundtable starting now. There's a podcaster who comes to this village from Southside Indy. You can hear him weekly when Smugcast drops. Bring shenanigans, available on Mondays. That was the other day. Talk. I believe that a movie is coming from Warner Brothers. I'm looking for talkers. This podcaster. Others like him. I'm building a roundtable to discuss it. It's very important that I talk to this man. Brian Lauer, Kevin Gallagher.
You said that like it explains why there's a total stranger sitting in the dark in my second favorite chair.
Kacey Spivey, the Wonder Woman.
Batgirl.
Batgirl, huh? That's cool. Kind of my thing, but cool.
Look, man, I don't know who you are, but whoever you're looking for,
So, you like Batman?
that feels like an oversimplification.
I'm putting together a team. People with special talents. You see, I believe a movie is coming.
Stop right there. I'm in.
You are? Just like that?
Yeah, I need friends.
Great.
Can I keep this?
I heard about you. Didn't think you were real.
I'm as real as your Take Two show. DJ Robbins. I hear you can talk to fish. Welcome to this week's edition of Everything is Awesome. I am your host, Kev, and this is a show where we sit down and talk to awesome people about awesome things. We are breaking from the norm this week. We're not just talking to one awesome person. There are 4 other people here, and it's going to be a good old time. We're going to sit around and discuss this week's major release, Justice League, in a good old-fashioned roundtable that's sure to not be chaotic at all.
Nope.
So before we officially get started, just a reminder to everybody to make sure you just follow us on that social media at Real Awesome Pod on Twitter. And there's a whole bunch of other things. I don't know. We're part of the God, this is embarrassing. I cannot remember my Core Temp Arts podcast network. That's what it is. CoreTempArts.com. All right, let's introduce our panelists as we discuss discuss Justice League. First, let's welcome to the show Ryan. Last name starts with an L. I want to say Lower something another. Wow. Okay.
Lauer. Yes, so close.
I added that extra E.
Yeah, it's fine. It works. Hello, greetings, Kevin. Thank you.
Ryan, you are from Dark Knight News.
Yes, sir.
And other things. Why don't you give us a little bit about yourself before we introduce everyone else?
Oh, heavens. I'm the first one. Just sitting here in Chicago in an apartment. I work at a TV station. I write, as you just said, for Dark Knight News, all about Batman. And I do improv here in Chicago. And there we go. That's it. That's all I want to say. That's all.
What's your handle?
My Twitter handle?
Yeah.
At Lauer, spelled like lower, so Kevin's not totally wrong there. At Lauer_Ryan.
Great. I'm following you.
It is nothing but Batman information all the way through. That is all I talk about.
Which is all you should talk about. And also, you hung out with BB-8 the other day, which is I'm a little jealous about.
You know, that is true. So I deviated from the norm. I got a little BB-8 action, and yeah, that was the end of my week. What a day!
Well, it's a good way to end your week. Last week. So, all right, Ryan, we'll put you to the side for just a second. Our next panelist is also new to the show. Ryan will be a future guest for his own solo outing, and as will this next panelist. I don't even know his last name. So from the Take-Two podcasting empire, as it seems to be with all the action they have, please welcome to the show.
Nobody
Craig.
needs to know my last name. I'm not that important.
Yes, you are.
That's fine. I feel impressed with the Take-Two empire. It's really just that we have nothing else to do, so we all podcast all the time as much as we possibly can.
It's insane. I saw one day Take-Two, I think Takedown was like the first spin-off I saw.
That's a wrestling show that I also host because I don't do enough. Yes. There's also soundtracks.
Yeah, and I saw that one drop a week after your wrestling one.
Yep. Yeah, we have soundtracks. We also have Spotlight, where we talk about one actor for an entire episode. We also have a science fiction conspiracy one. All of these are all on the Take-Two iTunes feed because we're too cheap or lazy to buy multiple feeds. So it's just all a nice one network. You can just get everything you want to listen to all in one feed.
Yeah, it reminds me of me circa about 9 years ago when I was doing 15 podcasts. Yep. So you're going to kill yourself one day.
Yes, pretty much. And I will just die in an avalanche of laptops and microphones.
You're the Costco of the podcast world.
I gotta say though, I'm impressed with when I messaged you about this. You said something about, oh, you mean West Coast time? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm on the East Coast, and you thought that I'm like this. I forget what the wording you used, but something big time. And I'm like,
I thought you were a big time West Coast podcaster, some of your other guests. But then I realized you're just a lowly East Coaster like me. And when you meant 10 p.m., you meant 10 p.m. like real person normal time.
Yes.
Not 7 a.m. or whatever time it is in California right now.
7 a.m.
I don't know how time works.
70 degrees right now.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
All right.
But then ironically, it turned out as you messaged me, I was 6 miles from your house.
You were 6 miles away, literally within spitting distance, around the corner from where I used to live, and we were not able to manage a time to at least hang out for a couple minutes. I wanted to try to schedule my viewing of Justice League when you were, but it just did not happen.
It was depressing, but it's okay. Now we're here to talk about it.
And speaking of, let's go on to one of our next panelists. He's I guess a sly veteran of this show. He's been on the show before. Please welcome from the Smugcast, BJ Robbins.
Yeah, Robbins, like Tony Robbins, except I'm not a motivational speaker.
Yet.
Yeah, I do a podcast called Smugcast based out of Indianapolis. My co-host doesn't watch movies, so this is probably the happiest I've been since one of my kids was born.
Well, I'm glad we could give you an outlet to sit around and talk about this movie.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for that.
And yeah, so our final panelist is, I guess, kind of like the Wonder Woman of this podcast, because she's out of the panelists, the only person that would this would make her third appearance on the show. And we're gonna not screw this up. Please welcome to the show, Kacey Spivey.
You did it! Oh, yay! Good job.
It only took 3 appearances.
Well, it's okay. It's a work in progress.
I don't even know if I attempted the second appearance. I forget. I just know that first appearance, whatever I said, you're like, ooh, no.
No, it's just like Spidey senses, like Spider-Man. Like it's nerd friendly.
That's as I was going over the names of you guys today, which clearly I did not do any research. For yours, I was just like, all right. I remember it's like Spidey, so just like, and I was like doing the fake slinging as I was talking. So,
Perfect.
What have you been up to? What are you going on? What's your Hollywood lifestyle like right now, Kacey?
My Hollywood lifestyle has been a New York lifestyle as of the past 2 months. We were doing Game of Thrones, the rock musical in off-Broadway at the Jerry Orbach Theater in New York on Broadway in 50th. So it was super exciting. This is the last weekend and I came home a little early. So I am here making some magic moves over here that I can't talk about yet, but I'm still writing for Screen Rant, still writing and doing videos for Wizard, and just making moves,
Now, are we going to get hit with a lawsuit or something? Because I thought you guys were officially Shame of Thrones now.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. So it's funny because HBO called, and I mean, we've been doing the show for like a year, and they were full aware of it. And then after we did a month in New York, they were like, you guys can't use Game of Thrones anymore. I was like, why? Because it's successful now? Like what? Too many people are like liking this? Yeah, no. So they changed it to Shame of Thrones musical, and it still went really well.
That's at least I'm not the only one that gets networks to bring the hammer down. I used to do a show about The Walking Dead, and yes, The Walking Dead was in the title of the podcast, but AMC got wind of it, and I guess it's because we were starting to catch some like attention on Stickcam at the time, and they shut us down. They sent me a cease and desist. I was like, all right, well, that was fun.
See, you are big time.
Congratulations.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
Validating.
I wish someone paid enough attention to our show to tell us to stop doing something.
If you call yourselves Take Two The Walking Dead, they'll pay attention, my friend. They'll pay attention.
All right, changing it on Podbean right now.
All right, so let's get started on talking about Justice League. I assume you guys are all fans of the genre, otherwise you wouldn't be here.
Correct.
Yes.
So let's just start with, and we'll just randomly in some sort of order here, go with general like feelings of the movie. What was your general take on the movie? Let's start with you, BJ.
It was kind of what I expected, because my wife went, my 2 sons, so it's a broad range, and I think I enjoyed it, but I think that they did a different, trying to cater it, I think, to everybody with a little bit more humor, not as dark. It was only 2 hours, which obviously I wanted longer, but I could just see by the people that they were trying to cater it to a wider audience than before. But I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's basically what I expected it to be, with a second attempt at, or really the third attempt in this in the film in the films they were producing right now, and you can kind of see the Zack Snyder into the Whedon influence. So I kind of saw where the mixture wasn't at, but overall, it's basically kind of what I expected.
It's I'll agree that it was. I know, I think it did more than I expected. It was. I don't know if anyone else felt like this, but I think with like any DC movie these days, I kind of walk in with like a bit of worry on my shoulder, and I think that helped this movie in this case, where I was able to walk in with that worry, and then it just did better than any expectation that I had for it, and I was able to walk out like smiling that I had a fun time watching a movie.
I think it's funny that you say that, because that's actually how I went into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was almost like ready to battle, because I was ready to kind of tear it apart.
Yeah.
I hate approaching a movie that way, but I'd heard enough and seen enough, and I was just like, it's going to be a shit show. Damn it, it's going to be a shit show. So I was kind of like really nervous in watching it, and then, I mean, it started, and as we'll talk about later, I'm sure, that first scene happened. So then I was like, okay, all right. And so then I was still ready to like pick it apart, and then about halfway through, I just kind of let the guard down, and I was like, this is just fun. I didn't have many expectations going in, and I walked out like really happy because I just thought that it was a lot of fun.
Kacey, what were your just overall feelings on this?
Well, I thought it was going to be a dumpster fire of a movie. You know
Tell
what
us
I
how
mean?
you really
Like,
feel. How do you really feel
I have been right. Well, first of all, DC has been going downhill very quickly. I like Suicide Squad. I fell asleep during.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I walked out of Batman versus Superman. Like, I just was like, I was just so over it. And I was just like, I was ready for it to fail again, because not only was it DC, it was directed by two different directors. And I was just like, this is going to be horrific. But so I sat in the front row at the ArcLight. By the way, Kevin Smith was in my row.
What?
Yeah. I went to I got a Hollywood hookup, and like was in this screening, and Kevin Smith was there, and the credits started, and he started the clapping, and it was cool. Anyways, that was nerdy, but
next time you're in the East Coast, I need to just touch your shoulder so I can get his essence on me.
He was wearing his thing. He actually like does wear that.
He was in Philly a couple weeks ago, so and I was able to like sneak backstage, not backstage, like out back before like he left and grab a picture with him. But yeah, he is everything you see in real life, like on TV. That's what he's wearing in real life. He is a real life comic book character.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, but I mean, I was really engaged throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it had all of the things that make a good movie a good movie. It had heart. It had a little bit of a lesson. I mean, no, it wasn't The Dark Knight, and it didn't challenge me like Wonder Woman challenged me a little bit more, but like I walked away going, oh my God, I didn't fall asleep. I was really engaged. I was happy I was also really, really worried about how they were going to handle Wonder Woman, since it's, you know, in male hands, and I give them total credit. They did it. I think they did it justice. And yeah, I was just really, really happy with it.
That's a curious statement that you made, and we'll get to Craig's thoughts in just a second here, but because I saw on Twitter a couple people like very angry with how sexualized they made her in the movie. God,
please.
And not like
she's hot. It's fine. She can be hot and like fierce.
I totally. And this is like they weren't coming at it from like the James Cameron angle, but they like it was they. I don't know, something. I guess like the behind shots that we saw that
of all of the characters. I do remember one where they like all of them had ass shots, and I was like, great, let's do more of this.
And I knew this was gonna,
but on
if
both
I'm being
sides.
honest, one of the reasons I wanted you here was because you're the only person I know that can give like a good take on a woman's side of seeing this movie, and because that was like at least 5 people on my feed were like angry about it. I'm like, that's not how I feel.
Well, if you're going to be angry about that, then you're going to need to be equally angry about Jason Momoa. I mean, how sexualized was he? Like he completely unnecessarily took his shirt off, getting in
Right,
and
for a
went
good
into the
5
water.
minutes
Like
stood there,
he
yeah.
didn't need to do that for like a good. And I thoroughly appreciated it. So like. But if you're gonna do it to one gender, do it to the other. That's my take. Is like if it's equal, we're looking for equality. But I don't know. Maybe she should have been. Maybe she should have been Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok, because I feel like that character wasn't sexualized. So I don't know. I liked it.
I thought I didn't see it. Like that's the last thing that when I walked out of the theater, I didn't think anything like, oh man, they over sexualized these characters. And maybe, I don't know. Again, I went in just with different expectations of like, well, I just, like you said, I don't want to fall asleep. And
right.
They succeeded with that. Like, I don't know. It's, I guess for DC, a win is a win.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So Craig, it's on your shoulders. Everyone else has had pretty positive reviews. How did you feel?
No pressure.
Well, this is pressure. Well, I will say that I am a complete mark for anything that DC does. I mean, if you had an actual trash can on fire and put a Batman cowl on it, I'd probably still enjoy watching it. So I will admit that to start off. But I actually expected more from it. I think it was like if I was to rate it, I'd probably put it at like a low B.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it was great. I don't think it was spectacular. I think there was a lot of things they could have done better.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was decent. It was enjoyable. I mean, I definitely didn't walk out. I didn't fall asleep. So if that's the bar that we're setting is don't fall asleep during the movie, then this excels because I was awake the whole time. Even when my phone ran out.
Isn't it sad that that's like for these DC movies, that's the mark? Like as long as we
That's
don't
the
fall
bar
asleep.
we're going for, yeah. Exactly. And I didn't walk out saying I need to see the director's cut of this movie because the regular version sucks, like I did with Batman Superman. So I feel that this was good. Like I said, good, not decent, but good. And all of the hatred that a lot of the internet and Rotten Tomatoes seems to have for it, I can't quite figure out.
Yeah, where is that coming from?
I don't know, because it's super low still. It's still in like the 30s or 40s, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes.
39.
Everyone I've talked to has liked it. Yeah. I don't understand.
And from what I've read, like the audience score is tracking in that B range. So the audiences seem to like it, but the critics do not.
Why?
I mean, obviously audiences don't like it enough since it didn't break $100 million. But
well, and I wonder, like, I mean, it had a lot of like you still had Thor. Thor,
right?
Despite it being the second or third week that was out, it was. I mean, it's hard to compete with Marvel, and that's why they don't go head to head usually on release weeks. But I mean, Thor was just so good that word of mouth on that, I'm sure, took away from Justice League.
Right.
I'm sure it took away some, but I feel like, just on the fact that it's a comic book movie alone, I'm surprised that they didn't do at least a little bit better.
Well, here's a question that anyone from the table can handle. Do you think that Rotten Tomatoes holding back reviews and scores as long as they did had any kind of impact on people seeing this movie?
Oh yeah. I mean, I definitely think that it affects it. I mean, the public has lost faith in DC, and they really needed to come back and earn our trust back, which I think they did. But Marvel has been hitting home runs all along, while DC has been constantly letting us down. So I think everyone was expecting it to be trash. I think the marketing for the movie was not helping. And especially since we couldn't go online and see Rotten Tomatoes like going, no, it's good. Like there's no reason we would have expected it to be good.
Ryan, was that you that had something else to say about it?
Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of split, because I didn't think that it holding it back necessarily did. I think people saying that them holding it back, it was more so like the users saying and making it a huge deal that they were holding it back, in which they were holding it back because they were releasing it on their Facebook
Something
Live
like that,
video show that they've been doing lately. If anything, they had a 5-day buildup of like the social media reactions, which I think were overwhelmingly positive.
Right.
So they had a long time to build up with that positive word of mouth, like everywhere, to when critics came out, a day and a half before the movie started to play in theaters. Like maybe it was just a bum rush of negative reviews just right before it came out that maybe hurt it. That's where I'm kind of like split.
But do you think that they're actually negative about the movie, or do you think that is people just basically hating on DC and wanting to sort of all pile on and be like, Marvel's great and DC's already screwed us, so screw them.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Is like everybody already. I spoke to my brother. We're both huge DC marks, and then he's like, "Well, I'm gonna wait for it to come out." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, the other ones have not lived up to expectations." And I think a lot of people going into it was like, "Well, we'll just wait for it to come out." And I think that's what really hurt it is even some of the more like it didn't break the box office like they should, because a lot of people, when we went to the theater, it was 25% full, and this was on a Saturday night at prime time.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was, we went with like 10 people, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. And I just think a lot of that has to do with it. They assumed already, like, well, it's another Zack Snyder, it's the same thing again, and then we're just like, we'll just wait for it to come out.
I wonder what this weekend will be like, honestly, because I have a bunch of friends who went, "You liked it?" And I said, "Yeah, go see it. It's a good time." And they bought tickets and they're going this weekend.
Yeah, because this weekend there's not much coming out, but Coco, I think, is the big thing coming out, so it's not really much competition for it.
Yeah, I feel like word of mouth is actually going to help this film, because same thing that happened to BJ. I walked into my theater on I think I went Thursday night. So I wasn't expecting a packed house, but I won at 10 p.m. I got there like at 9:50, and I was the only one in the theater. And eventually, like another maybe like 10 to 15 people piled in. But I was shocked that it wasn't like at least 50% filled on opening night, because it's a comic book movie with Batman in it, like despite everything else. And I think Zack Snyder being attached to it honestly has a lot to do with it as well, because he's taken the brunt of the failures of the DC EU over the last several years here. So I think that hurt it. But I have better hopes that it's not going to have a huge drop off. If anything, maybe it's going to kind of stay even this week. Plus, it has the long holiday weekend that maybe will help bolster it.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I'm super curious to see how it does this weekend, and I'm not one that follows any of that, but it is something that, like, just for the purposes of this conversation, seems like super intriguing to pay attention to.
I wonder why they didn't open at Thanksgiving. Like, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, because there's literally not much at all coming out next weekend. Besides, it's Coco and then some Christmas movie about Charles Dickens, and I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. It's doomed.
It's going to lose to Dickens, obviously.
Charles Dickens.
Oh, Chuck. Yep.
All right. So let's. I have another question for you guys. We'll start with Kacey. So, what in Justice League worked for you, and what didn't work for you in this movie?
What worked for me, first of all, was the storytelling. It wasn't innovative storytelling, but it was clean, concise. It had all of the elements that you need to make a rising action and a falling action, and like sentimental moments with the family, like cutting back to them and stuff like that. Like it checked all the boxes that made it a solid story. And then I really liked the chemistry between the team. I thought it was a good mix of, I thought they honored each character, and it was interesting to watch people who are seemingly, impenetrable have to work together and have issues just like we do when we're working with coworkers. I thought that was interesting to watch.
Yeah, what I really liked about like how the Justice League kind of came together is it seems supernatural. Like nothing seemed, it didn't seem fake. It didn't seem like it was just like, oh, let's put these guys together to put them together. It just
right, like Suicide Squad.
Yes, nothing seemed forced with these guys, with the Justice League members here. It was honestly, if I have a question about Avengers and Justice League later, but this will be the only comparison I make until then. I think Justice League did a better job at bringing the heroes together than Avengers did.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd agree.
I would say Avengers, they obviously had their hook to get the team together, and that worked for what it needed to, but I feel like Justice League was able to find a more natural way to do it, and that's huge to do in a world where like everyone loves Marvel over your universe to have. I think that's like the most important thing of the movie is how does this team come together, and does it seem right? Does it seem natural? And that's a big win for them.
Yeah. Agreed.
PJ, what worked for this and what didn't work for this movie for you?
I like the flow of it. Obviously, I wish it was longer, but I mean that's just me because I could sit there and
Yeah,
watch
no, I
a
agree.
3-hour comic book movie. Not everybody can. I like that they did add humor in it. One thing is Steppenwolf when he sounded like sometimes when he's like an '80s promo wrestler with his lines like "You will love me." This sound like like that's the only thing that kind of like. And I know that we have to have some kind of like at
Yeah,
times I didn't
yeah.
take him seriously, like like. And he's like the ex-boyfriend that wouldn't go away and kept saying stupid things. But I did like the how they handled like there was love in there, and then also I like the fact that like in the scene where Batman his back or whatever is all bruised up, and and people keep looking at him like why you keep doing this, and I you kind of seem like you said that how they brought the team together, that he was willing to sacrifice death for the greater, and I really enjoyed that because I see like the characters are definitely more. I don't want to say more diverse than some Marvels, but I felt like they were all how they came about, where they're from. That's why I really enjoyed more how they came together because it wasn't like I don't know. It just seemed like a little bit more feasible at times why they came together.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think that's a huge takeaway for me from when I was sitting down and thinking about this episode we're recording now, and just my thoughts on Justice League. Like that was a huge takeaway for me, and that's an important takeaway. Like it's nuts that I didn't really think about how the team formatted in Avengers and how much, like in retrospect, like it wasn't really that great compared to like this more natural way to do it. And like Steppenwolf, see, my issue with Steppenwolf, and is actually my same issue with Cyborg, is the CGI was it pales in comparison to many other projects. I think, like, did any of you have like an issue like just looking at Cyborg? Like his face looked like it was floating.
Oh, really?
No, I don't know. Yeah, it looked. It just, the CGI with Cyborg, it just threw me off. Like I couldn't stop concentrating on how it looked like his head was hovering incorrectly. It was just a really weird feeling I had watching that character. I don't know. Did anyone else have issues with the CGI or anything?
For Cyborg, I thought he looked a lot better than I thought he was going to, and then what we had seen, because I thought going in, he was the only one that I didn't care about.
Sure.
Yeah.
And once he started on the screen, like, even though I guess a lot of his stuff was cut too, I thought he ended up working, and he kind of won me over.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I thought his stuff was pretty sharp.
Yeah.
And I think maybe because we got to see him there for a little bit, and he was pretty much covered up in the sweatsuit.
Yeah.
So I think he was gradually shown to us, and so it wasn't until a little bit into the movie that we got the full reveal. I think that helped me kind of warm up to him, I guess, to where probably upon second viewing or third viewing or ninth viewing, 10th, anyways, that then I'd really start to look closer and then maybe see it. But like my first viewing, it never took me out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I think they handled the character really well. It was just something jarring about when it was full on cyborg body. So I don't know. Maybe I was paying attention to it because it was utterly silent in my theater. But it was it just was jarring.
I was gonna say the only CGI I really had any issue with was the few times that you could tell they had taken out Henry Cavill's mustache.
The mustache.
What?
Like you could that very first scene on where it was the phone and the kids talking about doing a podcast and interviewing him, you could tell that they had CGI'd like his mustache away.
That's why it looked weird.
That's why it looked weird. Like, and there was a couple times that you could tell that his face was just off.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the same thing as you, Kev, whether I was like looking for that kind of stuff to see.
It's funny because I didn't notice that.
I was looking for the mustache.
That's funny. I did think that the what were the creatures that were like flies? What were they called? Like the wasp type things?
Yeah.
Parademons?
Yes. I was actually, maybe because I was like front row, but they are some of the only like minion type characters that really kind of freaked me out. So I did appreciate the CGI in
They looked
those.
really good. They look great.
Yeah, because my wife jumped
Yeah.
during the one scene where it jumped out.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's a bug. I don't know, but there was something. There's something, about like a zombie bug. But that could be stupid. But they did really well.
Who am I on? Is it Craig? Are you next to tell me what worked for you? What didn't work for you?
Sure, I can always talk as much as you want.
So, lay it down. Lay it down.
I mean, for things I liked about it. I mean, I think I actually liked the 2-hour running time. Unfortunately, BJ, I'm one of those people I'm just done with 3-hour movies. So I liked that they were able to get it all in 2 hours. I'm apparently a very busy person, at least in my own head. But I actually really liked Aquaman. I thought they did him good. I thought Jason Momoa did a great job of it. I mean, I thought they put some humor in there. I know I just read something today, actually, that he had an interview saying that everything that was on the cutting room floor could have almost been 2 Justice League movies because of how much backstory from him they actually took out. And I guess they just decided to put into the Aquaman movie. But I think he did a great job, aside from the fact that obviously when he's standing there shirtless in the water, it's basically like a mirror for me. It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, I think him, and I think the humor they did with him and how he interacted with the rest of the team, I think was really good. I think they did, and I think they and Jason Momoa did a really good job with him.
I mean, I think I have to applaud whoever it was, Snyder or Whedon or just DC, Warner Brothers. Like, they made me care about a superhero that talks to fish. Like, I really enjoyed him. Like, it heightens that character. And I know, like, in the New 52, like, he became a badass too in the comics, and I never really read it. But I've never had like a impression of Aquaman that I was like, that's a hero that I want to like pay attention to. And I'm super, like, this movie did a couple things for me, and one of them is it made me super excited for the Aquaman movie we're getting next year. Right,
exactly, which I wouldn't think would be a phrase anyone would ever utter, that they were super excited for an Aquaman movie.
Yeah. It's nuts that they were able to. And another thing that this movie did for me is with Ben Affleck. I think for me it reaffirmed that he's a really great Batman, and like, it's all like the news, especially recently, that he's trying to find a graceful way to exit. Like, that to me sucks, because this movie proved, if nothing else, if you hated this movie, I don't think you can say that he was a bad Batman in this movie.
Absolutely not.
Like, it was. Yeah, like, he proved himself now twice in Batman vs Superman and in this movie that he can be kind of like the beacon of the movie.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I mean, and I think he, like you said, the fact that he's trying to somehow bow out of it makes me upset, because I mean, my favorite was Keaton, and now I think it's Affleck right after that now.
I cannot agree more. I'm right there with you. Ryan, it's all on you now.
Damn. Oh,
what worked? What didn't?
Something different that hasn't been said. Well, what worked first off was definitely, I thought, the cast. I liked all of them together. And I've always been a solo guy. I really liked the Clark and Lois scene at the Kent house. Yeah. It really made me like, get us another Superman movie with those two. Surprisingly, the parademons kind of worked for me. As Purity discussed, the runtime, it was kind of reassuring that the story was simple and in 2 hours. So see, now I'm just retreading on what everybody else has said. I'll say what didn't work for me. What didn't work for me was Jason Momoa with the shirt off, because it made me ashamed. The Amazons with their revealing clothes, because it made me ashamed. I'd say Steppenwolf wasn't as bad. I thought he was actually kind of cool and kind of fun. It was just some of those close-ups on his face that was like, It was kind of in and out. Sometimes it was fine. Other times it was just a little distracting.
I think it was the close-ups for me.
Yeah, it was the voice that was really just kind of like, who cares? That's fine. I like his voice. There you go.
All right.
Done.
For me, like, at some point in the movie, I was thinking, is that Liam Neeson doing the voice of Steppenwolf? Because it was very, I don't know, it seems very Neeson-like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I know some of us have already touched on the cast, but and Ryan, we'll kind of start with you since you mentioned it most recently. The cast, like across the board, was great. No,
Correct. No. Yes.
Yes, no, yes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
Way to be neutral.
But I thought it exactly. I really liked. I liked from Batman vs Superman, even though it was very brief. Though when Affleck and Godot were together, but in here Ezra Miller, I haven't really seen much that he's ever been in. But I thought he was great. I liked his innocence. Momoa was just like this brute and badass that was great. And then Cyborg was kind of like the I'd seen something that said it like he was kind of like the heart of it. And I thought that was true. I thought that was legit. And so especially when they all just came together and Cavill was, I don't know, they just all worked and worked well off of each other and everything. I thought like bringing out they were fun together too.
The one that had the biggest challenge for me, not that they don't know who I am, was Ezra Miller, because
they do too, Kevin.
Well, if Miller is listening to this, then he'll know he has my approval, and that was a hard thing to give because I'm such a Grant Gustin fan. I love that Berlanti verse. It is to me like the greatest thing on television right now over there on the CW, and I like. My only issue that I take with Ezra Miller being in this movie is that the whole reason Snyder said that Grant wouldn't work for the film is because it's a completely different tone. But I would argue that Miller was just doing his version of Grant Gustin's Flash. Like, it was very similar in tone.
I think in concept it was very different, but then by the end it morphed into pretty much the same.
Yeah, just a lighthearted, and that's what I want from a Flash. I don't want a broody Flash. I want a lighthearted Flash. Craig, cast.
I was on board with everybody, but I think I'd actually have to disagree with you guys that I wasn't on board with Ezra Miller as a Flash. I thought he was decent, and I don't know how much of it is more of the writing and how much is his acting style or choices, but I mean, to me, he was basically just being Spider-Man, like from Civil War, where he was, the innocent guy sort of thrown in, didn't really know what was happening, like, so he just, was being Barry Allen the whole time. Because they actually, if you didn't notice, they never called him the Flash. They just called him Barry.
Yeah, wasn't it him and Cyborg? They didn't name them, right?
Yeah, they didn't actually name them or say anything. Yeah.
But you know
apparently
what?
Not getting their names till their movie.
Without like that type of Flash in this movie, we don't get that scene where him and Batman like talk, and it's like one of the most Batman scenes ever, where he
that is great.
He says all I do is run around and push people, and Batman says all you have to do is save one. Like, that scene there is one of the greatest scenes in the movie, and it's one of the like most Batman scene ever.
Yeah, that I would definitely agree with. I mean, I think he did well with the rest of the cast, with the rest of the characters in there. I feel like it was just, and like I said, I don't know how much was him and how much was sort of the writing style for him, but I feel like it was just a little too similar to Spider-Man and Civil War for me.
Interesting. I wonder. That sounds more of like a writing thing, because I don't know. Like, if you were to throw Grant Gustin in that role, and pretend he was never the Flash, I don't think your opinion would change.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I'm all for Grant Gustin. The fact that they didn't use him still seems surprising to me, because you got an entire fan base that might have put that movie over $100 million if they just done that.
I could talk an hour on why it's wrong that they didn't include the Berlanti verse into the movie verse, but that's a topic for another day.
No problem, Ken. We'll do that after we record this roundtable. Me and you can do a whole Berlanti verse podcast, because we don't do enough.
Oh, perfect. BJ, same question about the cast.
I actually wanted to see more J.K. Simmons, actually, because we don't know what's going to happen moving forward. I know he was going to play a big part. I always love Ben Affleck and Jeremy Irons together. Their chemistry is great. I always enjoy that. I'm kind of the same way with the Flash. It has to do with the writing, but it was kind of campy a little bit, because as soon as he said that about Civil War and Spider-Man, it just I had the movie playing today where at work, and then it was very campy, and everybody else kind of gels together with that, but I know what they kind of did with the writing, because even my son, who a huge WB Flash fan, even he said something about it, like he would prefer He was I mean, obviously a lot of it had to do with writing with Ezra Miller, but he would have preferred the other Flash to be in here, and it makes sense. I've watched it with him. But Jason Momoa, I mean, he is a sexy beast, though. Good lord,
right? Isn't he?
Even my wife, I said, my wife of 16 years, I said, Steph, like if he, he hit on you, like you have to, like that's a rule.
Yeah. If he hit on me, I'd have to.
Yeah, if I looked like that, I would never wear a shirt.
Nope.
Never.
I agree. It's like often I wonder like what separates me from like wearing a shirt all the time everywhere in the shower to everyone else that like is normal and can take their shirt off wherever. And I realize it's because I am like on the scale of like Jason Momoa and Kevin Smith, I'm very close to Kevin Smith. I wish I looked like that just so I could like I would shovel the snow in nothing but like a bathing suit. Like that's how I would live my life. Casey,
You'd be so hot it would melt.
Yeah, I wouldn't even need a shovel. I just need to stand there and
just
radiate.
stand there. Yeah.
Casey, what did you think of the cast in this flick?
I mean, it'd be really easy to just like agree with everybody and whatever, but The Flash was my favorite. I'm a big fan of Ezra Miller. It might stem from Perks of Being a Wallflower, where I saw him first. And then he was in the Harry Potter movie and stuff. But I somehow, like, I really related to him because I liked how it was written. I know that it seemed a little forced with his like what is brunch? I don't understand these social constructs. But like I feel that so hard. Like I'm just like, why is everyone taking so long? I don't understand what this group mentality is. Like I feel that to my core. So I was the only one in the theater literally laughing out loud at his lines. With Jason, I thought he was really pretty. I thought he had a lot of like potential to be, this brooding, cool, like Aquaman guy. His scenes, except for one, were like almost there for me, but not 100%. And I don't know if it's because they cut stuff out from him or not. But the one scene I really did love how it was done was when he was sitting on the rope of truth or whatever that is.
The lasso.
The lasso.
Your lasso, yeah, and he's like starting to say all these like things just from his head, and you're just like you realize he's sitting on it. Somebody said that was from the comics. I didn't know that, but yeah. So I appreciated that, and I like that. I liked Cyborg. I really thought they did that character justice, and he's a smart, intelligent. Like it could have gone a lot of ways, and I think they did a really good job with that. And I love Wonder Woman. Not 100% Batfleck fan. Unfortunately, I think he looks a little silly in the costume.
Why are we friends with you, Casey? I don't even understand.
I just think I know, but
I don't even know you.
I feel like he doesn't. I feel like he's like, kind of. He doesn't have a true dark side for me, which I feel Batman should kind of sit into a little bit more.
Did you feel this way about like in Batman versus Superman as well? Like the one shining spot in this movie, him and Wonder Woman, the only things that were like a beacon of hope of that movie, you did not like him?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know. That's just a personal preference, but I think as a team, he complemented the tone of the cast really well.
So who is your Batman?
I mean, I like Bale. I know.
George Clooney.
I really like the Dark Knight. I really like the Dark Knight, and I just feel like that's how Batman should be done.
Okay, let me ask you about the Dark Knight. What is the most forgettable performance in that movie out of your three main characters? The most.
I don't know. Who did I would have forgotten.
It's Bale. Heath Ledger and Aaron Eckhart blow Bale's performance out of the water in that movie.
That's true. I mean, I guess I just am nostalgic. If I watched it again recently, I probably would feel differently. So I'll go do that.
I'll
go do that and let you.
I would love to hear your take on 1980. Have you watched the Keaton Batmans?
Oh, I haven't in a really long time, but maybe we should go through. We'll do an episode where we compare them.
Oh God, that's a good episode.
Right. Well, Craig, like, who's your favorite? You like?
No, mine is Keaton by far.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
By far.
Great.
That might have been because I was 11 years old when it came out, and so
right.
it impressed on my head, and that's why I have a Batman tattoo. But
right.
I'll say it's because he was a better actor.
Do you like Affleck?
Yeah, I would definitely put Affleck as number 2. I mean, Bale. As much as I enjoyed the Dark Knight trilogies and all that, I know that it was a choice he made. I can't get over that voice. I don't know why he did it. It just seems weird. Every time I watch it, it takes me like a good 20 minutes to get out of the fact that I don't understand why he's doing it.
Right.
Well, and I think Affleck has a lot in common with Batman, with all his demons that he's had even in his personal life.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's why I think he's good at this older sort of, grizzled Batman as opposed to, young Playboy Batman.
Oh, that's true.
And I think Ben Affleck also is maybe one of the best Bruce Waynes we've had.
Yeah.
He does that role
because that was also his life at some point.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
All right. So a couple more questions I have about this movie. But before I gotta say, 47 minutes in or so, we've done really well not spoiling this movie.
Oh, I spoiled a little bit, I think.
It's all right though. Yeah, no, and there's nothing that's major.
No, I don't care. If you're listening to this, you watched the movie.
Yeah. Well,
if you're listening to this and you didn't watch it yet, you're just dumb.
I do agree. I do agree with that. I want to see how this movie ranks for the rest of the DCEU with you guys. I think I know where it is for most of you. I think Craig is going to surprise me, so we're going to save him for last. Let's go with Ryan. Ryan, how does this film rank with the rest of the DCEU?
So what do you mean by how does it rank? Do I need to give like a running order of 1 through 5 or?
No, you don't have to rank all of them. Like, what movies were better than this in the DCEU?
Okay. Wonder Woman.
I mean,
Man of Steel.
Okay, well, that's where we're going to disagree.
And it's right on par with Batman v Superman as far as like for me.
I forgot about your feelings on that movie.
Suicide Squad is a pile of dog shit in a toilet with dog shit. I hate that. So yeah, there you go. But it's kind of like interchangeable. I feel like Wonder Woman is like the best movie, and then the rest are just kind of like, how entertained are you?
That's one way to go about it. Yeah,
it's up there with. Yeah, there you go. I did it.
I forgot that you were going to be the most neutral person on this because I forgot that you liked those other.
No. Let me tell you though, Suicide Squad is a piece of shit.
Well, we can all agree on that, right? Did anyone here like Suicide Squad?
I like the soundtrack. That's about it.
Yeah, it was a good soundtrack.
Hey, there.
I liked the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trailer was great.
Real good.
I liked the first 20 minutes.
I didn't make it that far into it. I fell asleep
before Casey fell asleep. I mean.
Yeah, that's about as far as I got.
I like Batman's appearances in it. There you go.
That was Casey's least favorite part, apparently, because she doesn't like Batfleck.
That's true.
BJ, where does this movie fall in the DCEU for you?
I mean, obviously, I think Wonder Woman is. That was the one I enjoyed the most. Felt real smooth start to finish. Suicide Squad was obviously a piece of shit because I can't stand to watch that one. Batman versus Superman. I think my problem is I'm biased because I want to like them all, and I just don't like them. Other people don't like them, just not to like them. But it's I don't know. It's still too soon to almost see where I want to rank it at because I just want to watch it a few more times and see how it grows on me. But I think it's a step up. I think it's a step up in the right direction compared to some of the other stuff that they have put out since. I like the Man of Steel, but I still like this one a little bit more than Man of Steel. I really do.
Yeah, I agree that it's in the right direction. Wonder Woman is obviously the best movie to come out of that DCEU, and Casey and we did a whole episode on it. So our feelings have been made public wholeheartedly. I'm sure everyone else's has been as well. But as far as everything else in that DCEU, like I don't know, I was not a fan of Man of Steel at all. Not a fan of Suicide Squad. Just like Casey, I fell asleep during it.
Napping in theaters, awesome.
I didn't even see it in the theater because I wanted to, but then everyone that I knew that went to go see it opening weekend was like, "Hey man, don't go see this." Like the benefit of having kids is that like I don't waste money on opening weekends anymore.
Oh, well, I was on a date, so that was also terrible.
That poor guy.
I know. That's what I'm saying. This movie ruined a lot for him.
What would happen if that movie was good?
That we'll never know.
Yeah.
I was also on a date. Well, Justice League went well.
So you'll be Casey Smith soon? With
No. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to ruin it.
And what else is and Batman vs Superman? I will say that when I eventually saw that movie on HBO or something, like I didn't hate it like I thought I was going to hate it, but it's still like I think it goes Wonder Woman, Justice League for me. Like Justice League, while it's no Wonder Woman, it's definitely I think it's learned a lot from past movies, and it's definitely a step in the right direction. Like BJ said, who I think dropped. Because BJ, are you there? No. Yeah, I think he
Oh, BJ.
So hopefully he'll be back.
Come back,
Hopefully
BJ.
he'll be back. But Casey, where do you rank Justice League?
I mean, like 3-ish. I mean, there's such a but there's such a drastic difference between Wonder Woman and Justice League, though. Like there's still a huge gap. I mean, I still say I like Dark Knight more than Wonder Woman, even though Wonder Woman.
Nolan's movies aren't DCEU. Keep that in mind. The DCEU for me.
Okay.
Oh, so you're saying I need to cross off 1989 Batman?
Yeah, if we're gonna include all.
Okay. Let me redo my list. Hold on.
Yeah, what year are we talking about? Wait.
We're talking Man of Steel forward. Like that's Man of Steel births the DC.
I mean, I guess I'd put this as 2. I mean, can I count Wonder Woman 2 even though it hasn't come out yet? And,
I'm just gonna give that number 2.
Wonder Woman 2, and then maybe Justice League. I don't know, Aquaman.
Well, Wonder Woman 2, Wonder Woman 3, and then
Aquaman maybe 3, and
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I like how it kind of seemed like, oh, really? Well, I guess Wonder Woman, and then all the rest, whatever.
They're just a big pile of crap.
Well, for me, like Justice League, the reason I think Justice League is so good is because it reminds me of an actual like comic book movie. It's just a lot of fun. Like you go into that movie and with no expectations, and you walk out with like, hey man, this was like a comic book brought to life, and that's what these movies should be. At the end of the day, and if they do something like Wonder Woman where they actually make you feel and they actually make you like, I don't know, like I think you and I were talking about it, Casey, where like I saw that movie and I was like, not in the same way you identified with Wonder Woman, but I was able as a male to be like, man, like I wish I was a badass like Wonder Woman. So like they're not all going to be Wonder Woman, but you want them to be at least all Justice Leagues or all Avengers, where like it's just a fun time,
right? Yeah.
All right, Craig. Where does this movie rank for you?
Well, if we're going to get technical, because I will, I would actually put DVD director's cut of Batman Superman above Wonder Woman.
Wow.
Don't get angry at my feelings. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
I applaud your bold.
But I enjoyed Wonder Woman a lot. I thought it was really good. And like I said, I feel there's some hole in my heart that is somehow filled by Batman. When I see him on screen, it makes me happier. So I'm going to put director's, but it very specifically has to be DVD director's cut, because somehow that extra like 30 minutes made the whole movie actually make sense and actually mean something.
I agree.
Yeah, I haven't seen the director's cut yet, so I can't comment.
What are you doing?
If you already hate it, it's not going to change.
It's not going to help. Yeah, that's very true. I'll agree with you there. It's not going to solve that. But I would put that, Wonder Woman, and then Justice League right afterwards. Follow very closely. Wonder Woman and Justice League very close for me. But I would put Justice League third, above whatever that Suicide Squad pile of crap was.
Yeah.
And I'm just not. I mean, and that's probably also my own personal feelings. The Man of Steel's, I enjoyed. I obviously watched, but much of what sort of was my problem with Justice League too is he's so strong, and his characters literally can do so much that the movies aren't as exciting for me.
Yeah.
Because unless you throw in Kryptonite, he really once he came into the fight was over. Sorry, spoiler alert. Once Superman came back to life, for all of you losers that are listening before you see the movie.
56 minutes and you just spoiled
it. We almost the movie. Hopefully they figured it out by now.
So close.
They could have seen half the movie by this point. I think he's come back already.
That's true.
Well, and I saw somewhere on Twitter someone say something like they were upset about that, and they were like, it's you can't save the world on your own ... unless you're Superman.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what happened. He pretty much saved everything.
Yeah. And I think as much as I enjoyed this version of Superman, I really enjoyed. I didn't like.
Oh yes, much better.
I did not like him in Man of Steel. Did not really like him in Batman vs Superman. He was a lot more lighthearted, just and even when he wasn't, even when he was crazy zombie Superman, he even that worked for me. It just made his character made sense in this movie.
Yeah, I think adding the humor in makes him more appealing.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going full blown spoiler at this point, right?
I mean, I guess I'll pre-record a spoiler alert at the top of the podcast,
good.
but. Yeah.
But when him and Cyborg pull the mother boxes apart,
yeah,
and he actually was like, I wish I was dead now.
Yeah.
I'm in so much pain. That was funny.
Yes.
And I like that. I liked that funny. I think that's kind of how you need to make Superman to make him relatable. Otherwise, he's just some superpowered being that can pretty much do anything.
Exactly. And it gives him he seems. Superman is supposed to be the one that feels the most human out of all of us. When he's not a human, and he didn't feel like that until this movie.
Right.
The other movies, he didn't feel human at all.
Yeah, and me and one of my co-hosts on Take Two, Brian, fight about this pretty much all the time because he's a big Superman mark since he named his child Kent, but we won't get into that session. But yeah, that's just sort of, I feel that if you don't sort of try to humanize him and make him not this all-powerful being that can pretty much do anything, then it's not as much fun to watch. He always wins, and not because he's the good guy, but he just always wins because he can't lose.
I agreed. I have two questions left, and this one will we're going to officially spoil some stuff now because we're going to talk those end credit scenes. There was two for I hope you all stayed for both of them. What did you guys think of the end credit scenes? Let's talk the first one first. The Superman, and again, spoilers. 59 minutes into the podcast here. Superman and the Flash doing Who's Faster? What did you guys think of that?
I mean, I thought there was a nice little nod. That was a fan sort of nod thing because that's happened a few times in the comic books and even in the cartoons and stuff. But then, if you want to get technical, Superman's flying and he's running. That's not the same thing. It doesn't count. Superman can turn the world backwards when he flies, according to Christopher Reeve. So I don't think that's fair.
Kacey, was that you that went, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to read that.
I mean, it was a cute scene, and I like the Flash. I was just like, what? I was just like, because I was expecting the final scene. Okay. So when that happened, I was like, really? Really? It wasn't even that funny. It wasn't like a Deadpool scene at the end where you're like, oh, so glad I stayed. You're like, really? And then Well, and that when this scene happened, the first thing that went in my mind is that Supergirl did it better because on season 1, Supergirl and the Flash race, and I think Supergirl actually ran. She didn't fly, if I remember correctly.
She did, exactly. Yeah, because she's not a cheater.
But Kacey, I will agree with you that I was like, all right, well, I guess that's the end scene, and because there was only 10 people in my theater, half of them left, and I was like, well, oh, shit, like, should I stay till the very end?
Why do people do that? What are people doing?
Right.
Don't you know you have to stay till the end at this point? Like,
Well, and I guess some people some people saw that as the scene and like, all right, we can leave now. And I of course stay because I was like, I'm not going to be the a-hole, especially when I'm doing a podcast about this, that leaves now, because I'm sure then I'll miss something.
Right.
That would have been really funny podcast radio though if you had left and we were the only ones that saw the scene.
Yeah. Well, and I think that if that was the only scene we got, this race one, I would have the feeling as well.
No. But would have dropped the movie below Suicide Squad though.
Right.
Well, I don't know if it's that bad. But I definitely would have I would have been mad that I stayed. Instead, like, was anyone surprised? Like, I was super surprised about Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
I'd forgotten all about it.
Yeah, I knew he was coming because they were saying he was going to be the villain in the next Batman movie. I didn't know he was going to come in here. I was more surprised about Lex because they said he was cut out of the whole thing.
Right.
So I didn't think he was going to be in it at all.
Once that second scene started, I kind of had a feeling that it was leading towards Lex. It was either Lex or Joker is what I was feeling there in that initial moment. But once it was confirmed that it was Lex, I was totally surprised by Deathstroke, only because like they've been so like quiet on that matter. They've been so like, well, we don't know what we're doing. Like, even with the announcement of the Deathstroke solo movie, like, it was just assumed he was going to be in the role because he was going to be in it Batman, but they even said like he hasn't signed anything. So to see John, what's his last name, DiMaggio?
Not DiMaggio.
No, I don't know.
I want to say Margiano, but that's a restaurant.
Something like that. Johnny M, dude from Magic Mike.
Manganello.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Manganello.
Magic Mike. He danced in the gas station. You know what I'm talking about, Casey.
Yes.
So there you go.
I do know. I got you.
You know what's up.
You know what's up.
But see, like when he unmasked, that was I was the only one in the theater and I was only one of 5 people at this point, but I was like,
you were the only one in the theater.
You and the cleanup crew were like, oh my gosh.
Well, but I was the only one that went, holy crap, because like I wasn't expecting it to be him.
Yeah. Right.
So what were your thoughts on that ending, that real end credits theme?
I knew that he was training because, I know what's up. Like he
goes to your gym.
I know. I guess to watch social media and stuff. Like I'm aware of his movements as a human being.
You drove by that gas station. He was still looking.
Yeah, so I knew that he was like,
you're treading on stalkerish now.
Every time I drive by his house, he's working out in his living room.
I guess I wasn't surprised, but I was excited because I had forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was glad. It was like kind of the epic scene that I wanted in the movie, but I don't know. I guess I was like, oh, maybe a better movie's coming soon. I don't know. It gave me hope for the future.
Yeah, no, totally. BJ, are you back with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay.
Hey,
BJ.
Yeah,
welcome back.
We had a power surge at my house and everything kind of just went haywire. The only person I can't hear is Craig. Everybody else I can hear.
Weird.
Yeah. So I've been quiet.
Well, we spoiled the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you missed was us spoiling the movie and Craig being in love with Batman versus Superman, the director's cut.
Yeah, but I was.
Oh, and Joe Manganiello dancing at a gas station.
Yeah, I've been only gone for about. I was only gone about 10 minutes, and I just kind of marinated for a minute here.
Okay, so unless anyone else has anything to say about the end credits, I have one final question that has to be asked.
Well, I kind of have one about the end credits.
Lay it on me, Ryan.
All right, so you can answer this too. So, do you think that it's ever going to pay off?
Ooh,
it's DC, which means no.
Because I've always kind of been a post credits. It doesn't end up meaning anything. But a lot of sorry to jump to Marvel stuff, but a lot of them can tease something about the next movie that's in development and it's coming. So oh well, it's about that movie that's coming. But this, it's just very okay, that's awesome, but are we only going to see Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke for 34 seconds, and that's
That
it?
is my fear, because that, like, to me it was a huge, like, shock for me, because again, it's been radio silent on whether he's going to be in the Batman, or whether, he's actually going to be in the Deathstroke movie, if the Deathstroke movie actually moves past, whatever phase it's in. For me, my biggest issue with this one is, like, DC seems to be moving away from that Marvel method, and they seem to be moving towards a director-focused method, which I think is great. I think that's what they should do, but that means, like, these end credit scenes are either need to be more like the Flash versus Superman race, or they need to have less meaning than what the Lex Luthor Deathstroke one had, because who knows if it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
I have a new theory.
Ooh.
What if Joss Whedon threw that in at the end because he wants to direct the Deathstroke movie?
Ooh.
And now he's like, now you guys have to do it, and guess what? You have to hire me.
I
don't know. I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense to me. Secure your own.
I want Joss Whedon to direct all the movies, so I'm okay with that.
They didn't really give him the credit.
No, he just got a story by, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's directed by Zack Snyder and story by Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
maybe he did it for that reason.
Well, and he's got Batgirl coming up. I assume. Does Batgirl have a date yet?
I don't think so.
No, he was announced, and then nothing's happened since.
I don't even think Batgirl has a Batgirl yet.
No.
Nah.
No, I think they got distracted.
Yeah, there's no casting or release date to report.
Wait, is this the secret stuff you're not telling us about, Casey?
No, oh my God, that'd be so cool.
I'll toss my support behind that.
Yeah, you guys, we should get me cast as Batgirl.
Hashtag Casey for Batgirl.
Let's start a campaign. Casey for Batgirl.
Now, here's the question. When Casey becomes Batgirl, when does she ever do Everything Is Awesome or Take Two again?
Every single
never.
time.
Never.
All the time.
No, we will so fall by the wayside. She will not care about us one bit.
You're the only people I'll care about.
I just feel like Kevin Gulliger? What?
No.
Fuck that dude. I don't know him.
I'm loyal. No.
All right, final question, and we'll give BJ some airtime since he got disconnected for a bit. This question I think we have to talk is, how does Justice League compare to Avengers?
Avengers just as a whole, or compared to a certain movie, or
just comparing Justice League with the very first Avengers movie.
I actually like this better than the first Avengers movie.
Oh, intriguing. Okay.
I mean, because where I work at right now, Avengers is playing, Civil War is playing. All those are. Luckily, I'm in control of all the movies at work, so we get to play them all at work. And obviously, when Avengers first came out, it was amazing because you finally got to see them come together. But I've always been more of a DC person, and I think I'm just biased more. I mean, Avengers is obviously, I just watched it again the other day, but I don't know. I just really, anytime that has Batman in it, I think I'm just so biased to it that nothing else compares to it.
Is there any other hero that is like that, where like, oh, well, Batman's in it, so I'm going to love it?
No. No.
Casey?
They say Batman, I don't care what the rest of the sentence is. I'm like, done. What's up?
Casey, I feel like you have a different answer.
I mean...
Wonder Woman?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the obvious answer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But there's a huge argument for that now, especially after that movie was so successful. And like, did anyone else notice that like the marketing for Justice League, like it's after the success of Wonder Woman, it slowly skewed towards her as like the focus, and like she was kind of in the center of posters.
Oh yeah. The trailer was her bursting through that bank.
They had to, right?
Had to.
Right. Do you think that they added all her bank bits? Like, you know what I mean? Because those were great, but those also didn't tie into anything else.
Well, I think, if I remember correctly, they're in
the Comic-Con trailer.
Yeah, they were in the Comic-Con trailer, so I don't think so.
Okay.
I just think they post Wonder Woman changed a lot of the marketing to be focused on her a lot. Because honestly, in the world of the DCEU, Man of Steel she's kind of
Yeah.
like the golden child there. She's the one that's critically and I think with the audiences, like she's just the most well received.
Yeah, absolutely. For good reason.
While we're talking to you, Casey, what is your thoughts on Justice League versus Avengers 1?
I have to be honest, I didn't really start getting into the Marvel movies until they were funny. Both of these, I guess they're both like traditionally like checked all the boxes of this is a comic book movie and it had a story, check, and like it was well done production wise, check. The end. I couldn't 5 years from now I will not be able to tell you what this movie was about, and same with Avengers. I couldn't tell you what that was about.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate statement. And with Avengers, here's where I think Avengers for me, like what that had going for it was years of other movies, so that when they finally got together, it was a big deal. Like it was everyone was hyped for it. But
right,
as you said, it is like a comic book movie. It's a comic book brought to life. And whereas I probably I've seen it a couple times, so I kind of remember the story, in better detail than you probably do. It is, you're right, almost a forgettable film in the sense that like, oh, you know what, I saw Avengers and I really liked it, but they got together for something, and Coulson had to die for it. And to me, like again, Coulson dying for that, as I mentioned earlier, it works. I guess in that movie, it's just I don't know. I think it was a workaround that they wrote themselves into a corner maybe and couldn't figure out how to get the team together and let's kill Coulson. Whereas Justice League, pretty much just like Avengers, in my opinion, is just a comic book brought to life. And it's like you said, it's probably going to be a forgettable film in a couple of years, and it's going to be, oh yeah, Justice League was that film where like everyone from DC got together and they had to fight this thing, and it's going to be, I think, remembered well, but no one's going to remember the actual story. And like I said, Justice League, I think, whereas all the like Avengers had the hype of all the previous movies to get you behind it, I think the big hype for me with Justice League is just the way the team came together, because it was way more natural.
Yeah,
I can't stress that enough.
Agreed.
Craig, your thoughts?
Well, I hate to be boring, but I kind of completely agree with you, Kevin. Like, I mean, I think that the way that the team was brought together in Justice League just made more sense and just seemed like it even with Avengers, when I watched it, even watching it for the first time, it seemed like you knew it was coming. You knew that this was going to happen in this movie. You knew that it was going to be two sort of factions against each other, and they just sort of like, well, we'll just pick teams like a dodgeball game and just sort of like decide who goes on which side. It didn't make as much sense as I feel all of these ones getting together for Justice League to fight Steppenwolf just made a little more sense. And I think feeling natural, I think, is the perfect way. Like you said, it works more. And so I think in general, I'd probably put Justice League above it, but not by much.
Yeah, and I don't think I would put, for me, I think they're on equal playing fields. Like, I don't think I can put one above the other. They both have, pros and cons, and they both, I think, Casey said it, I've said it, like, they both are just comic books brought to life, and they're both very fun movies to watch. They're both, I think they do what a comic book movie should do, and they just make you forget life for 2 hours, and you smile when you get out. Ryan, Mr. Dark Knight News, your unbiased thoughts on Justice League and Avengers.
Unbiased, yeah. Batman is a hack. DC sucks. Bring on Marvel. I would watch this before Avengers any day.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a long time to get on board with Avengers in a fully positive way, because I just found it was just too meh. And I think it was also just everyone around me saying how great and wonderful the Avengers is. You just kind of want to be a little pisser and be like, nope, it's not that great.
Shut your face holes.
Yeah, exactly. Shut those face holes. But I guess I could say that Avengers is probably the better movie, but for me, I'm much more entertained with Justice League. Granted, I saw it once, but instantly how I watched that compared to Avengers, it was like, yeah, I had a lot more fun. Enjoyed this more. Completely unbiased.
Yeah, I think like the way you feel about Justice League is kind of the way I feel about both of them. I think the solo movies is where I know Marvel excels at more so than their team outings. DC, the word still needs to be figured out on DC. I guess we'll see with Aquaman how that goes. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I'm happy that this movie exists. It's better than, I guess, no Justice League. No,
Sure.
Sure. We all also noticed that Kev gave us a question that he refuses to answer, right?
No, I answered. I said I said that they're not. They're not.
You said both was your answer.
Oh well, I
yeah. What? What's up?
You guys suck.
I
know I was way more excited for Avengers at the time when it was about to come out because I was, again, I mean, really DC wasn't a thing other than maybe Man of Steel at the time, and so I was always, and I've always been more of a Marvel kid when I was growing up, except for Batman. Batman was the only DC thing I was ever into.
Damn right.
And I mean, and I would say up until I was like 33 years old or 32, whenever Wonder Woman came out, that was like Wonder Woman's the first movie that came out that made me care about anything besides Batman. So props. That shows the power of that character, or at least Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins. I think Justice League is I don't know. Like I said, I don't like one more than the other. I think they're pretty equal. I think there's pros and cons. Like I said, I think the Justice League, the way that if I had to pick one, the way that they put the team together makes that movie edge out ever so slightly.
Good answer.
And
you did it. Good job, Kevin.
BJ is back, but apparently he lost my audio. So.
No, I have you now.
Oh, okay, there we go.
There's a real bad storm blowing over top of the where I'm at right now. So I never use this computer ever. I do everything on my iPhone, and now I don't use a computer that often.
Well, the good news is we're about ready to wrap, so let's get to that point of the show where we get to let people plug their stuff, and we'll start with BJ, and so the storm doesn't take him out again. BJ, tell people where they can find you and where they can listen to you and all that good stuff.
My Twitter is at the BJ Robbins. I am. Our show is called Smugcast. On Twitter, it's at Smugcast. It's available wherever you get podcasts. That's basically the only thing that I do. So if you guys ever need anything, just feel free to reach out.
BJ, thanks for being part of this. And in case you drop out, I just wanted to make sure I got that in there.
No, I appreciate it. As always, man.
All right. And Craig, where can people find you?
You can find us on Take Two Podcast. You can find us on iTunes. Like I mentioned, we have multiple podcasts. Pretty much one every at least other day comes out of various topics at this point. So, we have the beauty of having 7 different hosts that just rotate depending on our schedules. Okay. So we have we have our main weekly show, which comes out every Tuesday, where we talk about movies and reviews and films and the box office and stuff like that. So that's 2 to 4 of us, depending on who's available. But you can find us at Take Two Podcasts on Twitter. We're take2podcast.com, where we put up reviews of all the movies, and I think I actually just put up the Justice League one right before I got on with you guys. So there's a Justice League review up there already that people can go read.
Awesome. Craig, thank you for doing this and taking time out of your day. I know as a fellow East Coaster, it's late, so thank you.
Anything for you, Kevin. Anything.
Well, that's so nice. Ryan, where can people find you?
People can find me on the Twitter at Lauer, spelled like lower, _Ryan. All that's on there is stuff about Batman and some movie stuff. And then I write for darkknightnews.com.
And excellent writer for darkknightnews.com. I love the group pieces you do. Like who's your favorite Batman? What's your favorite Batman movie? The time and energy that must take. I really enjoy it.
Well, thank you, sir.
For those that don't know, I quote unquote work. I don't know if we want to say work, but I also write for Dark Knight News. At least by the time this episode drops, It's probably my last day when this episode drops. So
yeah, I fired Kevin. So this is really awkward. This is a really awkward podcast.
Really awkward. We had to not yell at each other about this.
You are fired. Anyways, thanks for having me on, Kevin.
Yes, thank you for doing the show, and to both you and Craig, we'll have to get you guys on for solo outings so that you can catch up to the episode count that BJ and Kacey are slowly gathering.
That's gonna be rough.
And this podcast already got me 2 new followers.
Ooh,
That's right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that is huge for me. I had a big day. Thanks.
It's a little awkward considering that 3 of us didn't know you, so obviously one of us didn't follow you.
Awkward.
Anyway,
oddly enough, I unfollowed you today. So,
damn it, you're fired.
Kacey, where can people find you and all the things that you do? Because you're a busy Hollywood type.
Well, you can find me at hey_case, HEY_KACE, like Ace. I do like movie news, so follow me there. And I think Craig and I are starting a hashtag now. That's
about
Kacey
20
for
minutes
Batgirl.
ago.
So
And Kacey already retweeted it.
yeah,
It's trending.
yeah. Perfect. So jump on that bandwagon, and I'll invite you all to
Batgirl?
the Oscar when I win it for
Obviously.
Batgirl. Yeah, obviously. Maybe a Teen Choice Award. I could probably get one of those. So I'm at HeyCase on Twitter and Instagram. So I do like the story things. So you can see me being me.
That's the
throughout the day. Yeah, I'm trying to get. Yeah, trying to get in with what the kids are doing. So
I can't. I can't follow it all. I blows my mind that you can do more than just take a picture. Now there's like I don't know. I hate social media. that's what I've learned.
It can be fun. I hated Twitter at first, and now I'm like,
Twitter's my
okay,
safe
I
haven.
kind of get it.
That is
now.
where I feel at home.
Yeah.
At Take Two, we just
Same.
copy whatever Kacey does. So.
Yeah.
Seems to work for her, so we just do it.
Yeah. You should.
I feel
I'm
like
getting
now
the hang
you
of it,
saying that, I need to see like all the photo shoots that Kacey does. I need to see the guys at Take Two just mimic.
Consider it done.
Yes, copy them.
Start cleaning it up. Looks like we have a Thanksgiving weekend project now. Christmas cards for everyone.
Love that. You guys really should. I'm gonna put a new photo up tomorrow that you have to copy.
Kacey, thank you as always for being on the show, and yes, and thank you to everyone else, BJ, Craig, Ryan, Kacey, all check them all out on their various social medias and websites and podcasts and all that good stuff. There'll be lots of show notes for you guys to look at and click on the links for. You can follow this show on Twitter at Real Awesome Pod. We're on Facebook.com/Real Awesome Pod, but I do most of my tweeting on Twitter at That Nerdy Kev. You can also find us on awesomepodcast.com. We're part of the Core Temp Arts Podcast Network. Got it right this time at coretemparts.com. And for everything is awesome, I'm Kev. We've been awesome.
Thank you for listening to the Core Temp Arts Podcast Network. To listen to more Core Temp Arts shows, visit coretemparts.com.